porn is not the real problem. It's our lack of emotional security. It's a learnable set of skills that you and I can begin to master, that we can learn to be regulated again, self-regulation, learn skills, learn language, learn communication, because the ultimate reason why we go to porn or any self-sabotaging pattern, it could be any addiction or anything that's an unhelpful, destructive habit, is because we lack the language of our soul that God is speaking. Because we're not just thinking beings that feel, we're feeling beings that think.
You like this, you like being daddy's arms with microphones. You like being a worker. You're made for the camera. Both my boys are.
Hey, this video you are about to watch is a part of a series where I show you how to quit porn the right way. So do yourself a favor, binge on all of this content, all the videos that you possibly can, because who knows, maybe if the value and the trust is built together over this journey, you'll want to jump into a community that I call Fit for Family. Or maybe you think these videos suck, and that's also fair too. But nonetheless, there's only one way for us to find out. So enough of me, let's get back to serving you and let's get back to the video. One common question that I get a lot from people when trying to understand how to break free from porn and create new patterns is, why is it a cycle for me? Why is it something that I go to every now and again, every 2 weeks, every 3 months, once a year, once every few months, or every other day? And why is it not consistent? Why is it that when I started dating a girl, it went away, and then once we broke up, it came back? You know, because a lot of people have this belief that say, I just need a girlfriend, that's why I go to porn, or because I'm not married and because I'm single and I have all this pressure and tension that I need to release. And here's what I want you to understand. I want you to understand that at the end of the day, porn and going to it is because we have an insecure attachment, okay? It's an emotional dependency. It is a vehicle that we use to meet our needs because we don't believe we actually have the ability and the safety and the trust to meet them in healthy ways. We just never learned how or don't feel like we're able to, and we'll get into that more. And so porn becomes a vehicle. It becomes something that we jump into in order to say, hey, this is how I can feel seen, known, loved. This is how I feel like I can have control. I can have power in my life. And so when people tell me, you know, I just need a girlfriend because I had a girlfriend and porn was gone, I would say, actually, here's what's really happening as you break that apart is because porn is an emotional dependency. When you look at porn, the idea of lust, you know, it's where you get connection. It's where you get control. It's where you feel a sense of comfort, of being wanted. And then you also look at a woman, you look at a girl that you are wanting to pursue and be in a relationship with, they mirror the same things. And so instead of you going to porn now, you go to your girl, your girlfriend, your woman, whoever, in order for you to meet your needs. And that's what I would consider codependency, which is a codependent relationship where you are completely dependent upon the other person giving you what you want or what you feel like you need in order to be okay. And here's the trouble with that, is that every single relationship, people are flawed. They have pain. They have trauma. They have insecurities. They can't always fill your cup. They can't always be there for you. They can't always be the person that you need them to be. So let's just say you had someone who gave you unconditional love. They always showed up for you. They always supported you. They always comforted. They always believed in you. It's like, okay, well, that person is human. They still have their own pains, their own struggles, their own disappointments, and there's going to come a time, especially as you stick with a relationship longer, because they all go through different phases. And the first phase in a relationship is puppy love, is this fantasy, is this utopia of just like bliss and everything's amazing and butterflies and endorphins and dopamine and serotonin and connection. You're like, wow, I'm head over heels for this person. I'm absolutely madly in love. And so when you do that in a relationship, that person, instead of going to porn, you will run to them, being like, wow, that is the source of all of my love. And the reason why that is so fragile is because when that person doesn't give you what you need, then you have the exposing of all of those insecurities again, the exposing of all that deep loneliness, that pain, that shame, that guilt, that inadequacy, that person doesn't love me the way I want. So that's why we get really frantic and overwhelmed in relationship with people. That's why we get really insecure and controlling and anxious, is because we have an insecure, anxious attachment. We have a codependent attachment to people where, to define codependent codependency simply, you could just say, like, if you leave me, will you take me with you? Or if you're not okay, I'm not okay, where you can get your regulation, your nervous system regulation by somebody else. And truly, that's what kids are meant to receive from their parents, from their moms and dads. My kids are supposed to learn emotional regulation from me, having it be modeled from me. And as you get older, then you learn how to regulate your own self, your own emotional state, your own mental state, your own physiology. But most people never learn that. And so we become codependent. We remain codependent, which is a sign of lack of maturity and insecurity, because it tells us that we didn't develop a strong sense of self in our core. So we're constantly looking around to the left and right of like, hey, can this plug the holes that I'm feeling inside? Now, if you want to get scripturally accurate, you'd say, well, God fills that. And that's absolutely true. That's right. However, when rubber meets the road, there's actual real needs that other people are meant to meet in our life because God gave us those needs. He gave us the need for significance, connection. And when we push people away and say, go have God meet that need for you, we're actually reinforcing old wounds and abandonment theories because God really works through his people. That's why we're called the body of Christ. You wouldn't just tell the thumb, hey, dude, you're bleeding out, you're in a lot of pain, well, just go seek your father. You'd be like, no, you need the rest of the body to come and bandage it up, wrap it around, and be able to pivot and shift accordingly. So when someone says to me, like, why does this come in cycles? Why is this something that I deal with every now and again? I'd say because when life is going great, when the skies are blue and it's sunny and it's smooth sailing, there is nothing exposing, there's no water, let's just say metaphorically speaking, raining down in your home that doesn't have a roof. And if metaphorically speaking, our house of our life, okay, our heart, had a roof on it that was not made complete. There's holes, there's gaps all around it everywhere. When the sun's shining, there's no problems. You're not aware of anything leaking into the home, of any rain coming on. But as things get harder, maybe your girlfriend doesn't text you back and it floods up insecurity within you. Does she like me? Does she want me? What's she thinking? Is she cheating on me? Or your boyfriend, is he cheating on me? What's he doing? Is he talking to other girls? Why did he say that to her? Why is he not texting me back in 15 minutes? We've all been there. We've all done that. It's because we have a really strong insecure attachment. There's a lot that we weigh on certain relationships where you're like, you need to be this for me in order for me to feel okay. And when things are going well in life, we can feel security. When there's lots of money in the bank, we're doing great. When we're told that we're loved, things are going great. But when there's a lack, when there's a rift, when there's a divot, when there's something where we see that there's a pothole that we hit, all of a sudden rain starts pouring down over our home, metaphorically speaking, and then we get to see what's really exposed. We get to see what the foundation of our life is at and like where the roof is at, what our covering is at, what our protection is at, what our security is at. And so when anyone can be a good sailor when life is going well, but it's when things get hard and the waves start bashing that we start to kind of test the theory of what our own sense of self-security is. And I don't mean that in an absent from God sort of way. I just mean in a competence way that all of us need to learn as humans. Some people take this and be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. See, this is self-sufficiency, Matt. I don't want that. I want complete, God dependency. And although I love the idea of it, God is not in the business of having codependent children. God is not in the business of wanting needy children. He is wanting children who understand their identity, who understand their needs, who know how to communicate, who are learning what's going on inside of them and what's triggering them, and who co-partner and co-labor with them. Because the idea of a healthy relationship is that you take two whole and healthy people and you merge them together willfully. But a lot of people will even come to God through codependency, through neediness, through a place of complete lack. And that's great. Every single one of us is starting there, but God actually doesn't want to leave you there. God doesn't want to have to be the place where he fills in all the cracks and the voids because we have an avoidance pattern and don't want to deal with it. And we just say, well, God loves me anyway and his grace is sufficient for me. So when we have these patterns and we see that they come in cycles and waves, it's because, dude, if money's in the bank, people are texting you back, work is going fine, all that's great. It's like you're not going to have a rift where it exposes the trigger of abandonment, of not being good enough, of being unworthy. But if all of a sudden you and your girlfriend get into a disagreement or a fight, or you ask a girl out and she says no, or you want a girlfriend, you don't have one, you're single, and then you see people on social media getting engaged and it triggers a sense of like, I'm lonely, nobody wants and loves me. It could be anything that triggers you. you're going to go back to a place of like, I want to be comforted. I want to have more control. I want to have more connection. And because we don't know how to meet that in healthier ways with people, we're going to go and run right back to porn. So that's why I say it's a cycle, is because there is an emotional dysregulation that porn ends up becoming the answer to, where it supplies our needs. At least that's what we believe it does. That's why we run to it. It's not because we even want to. The amount of guys that have spoken to me and they're like, dude, I don't even want this. I'm like, yes, you're right. You don't, but you need it. You need it for your survival. And I'm not saying that in the end of the game, like you absolutely have to have it, you need it. But I'm saying from their perception, from our perception struggling with porn, it creates a need. It fills a need for us, being like, wow, because I could feel all of the uncomfortable emotions of being single, seeing other people get engaged on social media and feel like a piece of crap and like no one wants to be with me. Or I could go to porn and curb that and kind of release my way out of that. And so when you see it from that frame, that's why I have such a strong case built within me and through my history with God on knowing that porn is not the real problem. It's our lack of emotional security. It's a learnable set of skills that you and I can begin to master, that we can learn to be regulated again, self-regulation, learn skills, learn language, learn communication, because the ultimate reason why we go to porn or any self-sabotaging pattern, it could be any addiction or anything that's an unhelpful, destructive habit, is because we lack the language of our soul that God is speaking, because we're not just thinking beings that feel, we're feeling beings that think. And God knows that. He's very, very smart. He's a genius. He made us. He fashioned us. He fashioned our emotions, our thoughts. And if you look throughout the Bible, God's had every single emotion through there. And I believe that he made the scriptures clear with showing us all of his emotion, the emotions of like King David, for example. God had no problem making a big chunk of the Bible a dude who like started every psalm just complaining. In a lot of it, he's like, woe is me, everyone's leaving, gone around. God is not afraid of emotions except us. And the devil knows that. So he wants us to remain afraid and he wants us to not enter in. But in terms of understanding, again, because understanding is going to help us unlock. Proverbs talks about in all you're getting, get understanding in Proverbs 4:7. So that's why I want to explain to you these cycles, maybe even start to see for yourself, like what are those big triggers? You know, what comes up for you as you're hearing all this? Can you start to begin to see in your mind how these are triggers for you? How when everything's going great, you're like, yeah, I don't have a need for porn. There's nothing bothering me in my life that makes me want to run away. But then when things get hard, or maybe you lose your job, or finances are tight and you feel pressure and you feel scared, you want to comfort yourself. You want to relieve yourself. It doesn't make you bad. It just means that you grew up in a world where your mom, your dad, your primary caregivers didn't help you learn the language of your soul, didn't help you meet your needs. They weren't that for you, and you didn't have a secure attachment to them. Maybe you had a very insecure attachment to your parents in some form. Or maybe you're like, hey, I thought I had really amazing parents that met all my needs. And at first glance, it'd be like, yeah, you might have had phenomenal parents, but they may not have just taught you the skill set of learning about communication, vulnerability, honest self-awareness, knowing what's going on inside of you and how to make those healthier thought choices within you, not just decisions externally, but navigating the heart. So you could have a great relationship to your folks, for example, and still really struggle in these areas because you don't have language for it. And because these are feelings that we're like, oh, we don't deal with feelings, we want to push them away. So hopefully there's, again, so much more to this, but from a bird's eye view, I want to give language to why it comes in cycles, why it goes away in different seasons, and also to that fact, actually, why it won't go away in marriage. Because the reality is that it's not a sex problem. It's not a sex drive issue. It's an emotional issue. So inside of a marriage, if you are with your spouse and you guys have disagreement, you have contention, you have problems, you go to porn not because you don't love your spouse, you go to porn because you don't love yourself and you don't know how to deal with that relationship, with the tension, with the struggles there. And so you want to go find a place of relationship that you can control. And that's where it becomes very addictive, is because we believe that I won't get rejected. I won't get hurt. I won't be abandoned. I don't have to open up to my wife and tell her that I'm failing in all these ways, or that I feel inadequate and that she'll leave me flat-footed. I'm going to go to a screen when I want, how I want, in the seclusion and the privacy and secrecy that I want, where it's anonymous. Nobody has to know my name. Nobody has to know what I'm going through, right? It's massively affordable because it's free. You can access it just like that. and it's always available. You can just get it right there on your phone or on your computer or wherever you're at any given time. And so it ends up replacing a set of skills in learning how to have a real relationship with God, with ourselves, and with other people. This is why it's super important to understand what this pattern has really been doing in your life, because as you begin to understand it, then you can begin to break it. So dialogue with your group on this, see what's coming up for you as these things are unfolding, see where that's been true of you in your own life. You're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm starting to see that I have urges more when I am wanting to run away, when I'm feeling stress or pressure, or even what those key triggers might be for you that are leading you to porn. Have the dialogue about it, bring your friends in, bring your group in, and would love for you to have a vulnerable, honest conversation where you guys can all bring that clarity together so you can feel seen and heard, take ground. And again, as you create understanding, then you can start to begin to break these patterns. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey, real quick, if you like that video that you just saw, or if you want to see even better videos than this in a series that I made called Annihilate Porn to help guys or girls like you quit porn, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't forget any alerts, comment, like, all that jazz, and more importantly, check out the next video that's going to take you even further on the journey from where you are to where you want to be. I love you tons. I'll catch you in the next one.